quiet. Please come in and take your seat.
Yeah, I think that's...
Okay, we are back in public session. Madam Clerk, what is before us?
For item 24, the recommendation in the case entitled Cash Register versus the City of Los Angeles et al. Is to authorize settlement in the amount of $16,700,000.
Okay, so let's open the rolls. Close the rolls. Tally the vote.
13 ayes.
And for the record, in closed session, the vote was 12-0 with council members Cedillo, Englander, and Rue absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Madam Clerk, that brings us to general public comment.
First, Mr. President, for item 25, in the case entitled Bruce Lisker versus the City of Los Angeles, the recommendation is to approve settlement in the amount of $7,600,000.
Open the rolls. Close the rolls. Tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Thank you. Now, general public comment, or does the City Attorney have another announcement? All right. So we will go to general public comment. The first card is Odie Davies, followed by John Walsh and Mr. Herman. Is Mr. or Ms. Davies here? Please, you're first.
Okay, here. Mike. Good morning, everyone. I came this today. I was here last year, about August, pleading for the release of my car on a DMV hold from tickets that are not real. And I'm here again to plead for that release, and also on young men among you who verify my file and the evidences, trying to do what every American should be doing to help me. He got fired, from what I understand. I'm also pleading for you to review that action. America needs good people. I know there are some God who are out here to prove that God is a liar and America is a default country. But I'm here to tell you, I've been very blessed in this country, no matter what I have gone through, thanks to people like him. And it's really hurting me to believe that that young man was fired for helping me. Yesterday was...
Thank you very much. Mr. Walsh, followed by Mr. Herman, followed by Mr. Barajas.
John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org. Where was the mayor on Saturday? He wasn't in town. He's trying to keep it quiet. The mayor was up in Napa at a 3-star Michelin hotel officiating over a gay marriage. He's refusing to say how he got there, how much he was paid for his officiating at the marriage. And the rumor is that the mayor came out as gay at the marriage ceremony. But, you know, he flirts with David Sennheiser, so you're not going to read the story. The only way you're going to find out how the mayor went up to Northern California and officiated at a gay marriage, and it's not, if he's not ashamed of it, why doesn't he say it? And who is the best man there? Mr. Bonin, HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Herman, followed by Mr. Barajas, followed by Jacqueline Richardson.
It's a real shame when Jose Huizar
goes to prison for violations of multiple fraud and abuse in the city of Los Angeles. It's going to be a real goddamn shame when someone with a disability like Michael Carrion, who's come in here and said to you, remove the K-rail off of Soto now for the last 15 fucked up years, that the people of the city of El Sereno and Boyle Heights have been denied access, programmatic access. And why? Because one stupid a-hole can't understand that you're taking away a pathway, a pedestrian area designated for use. So get on the fucking ball and fix that corridor on Soto off the San Bernardino. And when the Federal Highway Administration gets you to fix the goddamn ramps and curb cuts in that area, all I can say to you is hootie-hoo!
Brian Barajas, followed by Jacquelina Richardson, followed by Prentice Jenkins.
I wanted to give a warning for everyone here, and it's just a simple warning about the cowardice of certain individuals. I wanted to quote a Shakespeare King Lear, a play, and I wanted to see if anybody can reflect, on the Flint situation and everything else. But quote, "The weight of this sad time we must obey. Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say. The oldest hath borne most. We that are young shall never see much, nor live so long." In other words, the collapse is going to murder and kill the young, the old, and everything else. What I handed to you was a document, a leaflet called "Take Power Away from Obama Now. Stop the Killing." Now, any coward among us, like Hamlets, shall we say, you are responsible for the murders. That's a fact.
Thank you, Mr. Barajas. Jacquelina Richardson, followed by Prentice Jenkins, followed by Mark Hurd.
I haven't seen the Triforia down on the corner in operation in the last 10 years, maybe once, well, maybe a few times. I'm wondering if it hasn't been fixed already, if there could be a contract with the owners that they'll do a monthly maintenance to check the wires, music, and lights, at least once a month or more. If they wished, or if you wish, they could hire a local contractor who could do that maintenance work for them at least once a month or more. That we're not cutting too deeply into their profits as far as I know, and that should not cost over $6,000 a month, or they can get it for much less, all depending on what they're doing. And not to build the city, but to build the owners of that and make sure they take care of the maintenance so people of the city can enjoy the lights and the low music.
Prentice Jenkins, followed by Mark Hurd, followed by Ruth Sarnoff.
Yes, Prentice Jenkins, City Life newsletter, activist since 1991. I'm here to present letters to all of the city councilmen to stop the ridiculous notion of associating the word Islam and Muslim with terrorism. I want that stopped because Muslims are not terrorists. A man named Timothy McVeigh blew up a federal building in 1991. He was associated with Christians. No one called that man a Christian terrorist. They don't call Christians that. So stop calling Muslims Muslim terrorists. Just refer to them as terrorists. Also, you have a statue over in Grand Park of guess who? George Washington. That man was a slave owner. Y'all got a statue of a slave owner looking over a park that says, this park is for everyone. That statue needs to come down. We don't want slave owner statues looking over black people.
Mark Hurd, followed by Ruth Sarnoff. Mark Hurd. All right, Ms. Sarnoff. Followed by Zumadog, followed by Mike.
Can you just give me a minute, okay? I'm very disoriented from the noise. Okay. the Los Angeles Times, December 31st, 2015, ran a very good expose of how big oil braced for warming while it fought regulations. Basically, what happened was Exxon and Mobil created a business model and had their businesses functioning based on saying, we got a plan for climate change. And the picture here shows the height where they actually built the platforms and stuff in the North Sea and in certain areas for the rising of the seas. It's a very important article. Once again, it's big oil braced for warming while it fought regulations. That was December 31, 2015, LA Times.
Thank you very much. Zumadog, followed by Mike, followed by Mr. Spindler.
Thank you. And sadly, the hooty-hoo is at half-mast today, as we must give rest in peace to a great icon spirit of Los Angeles, Lou Marino, who had a show for years and years on TV, and also a dedicated employee here to the city who I love so much. Now, I'd like to give a citizen's alert because the city has a new gun control violence order, and we all want safety in the city, but I'm concerned it allows police to get restraining orders against people for a year without any type of hello, people. Obama is trying to take the guns away from the citizens when he has his Syrian refugee militia here to come. And we need to defend ourselves. So now what has happened, Fuhrer with Obama has it, where cops can put restraining orders against you and your gun gets taken away just because the cop says to the judge. Okay, this is some scary stuff. More coming.
Thank you. Next card simply says Mike, followed by Mr. Spindler.
We need jobs here today. I worked at Dodger Stadium for 23 years. Before I got fired, I got hit by a baseball and was knocked out and went and got a workers' comp, and then they fired me. So I don't know what to say. Then I'm selling on the street here. I get arrested for selling on the street twice, taken to jail for trying to make a living. I talked to Mr. Price before. He said he was going to bring street vending, but nothing has happened. So what you want us to do? We can't get no jobs. We can't sell on the street. You want us to riot, or what's going to happen? I don't know what to say. I'm trying to do what's right, but there's no way we can do right. We can't do nothing legally. Seem like we have to go and rob and steal to survive. We need jobs here, or either let the black people separate and we just become a sovereignty nation and do for ourselves. Show us some type of respect. We did 248 years of free labor, of slavery, and we ain't even got reparations for that. So why don't y'all just let us go, and separate and do for ourselves?
Thank you, Mr. Spindler.
Right. November 10th, Negro Jew arrestee in the house. So you paid off the two people. 34 years cash Delano Register lost of his life. A lousy $16 million fucking dollars. No, you give them $1 million for each year, like they did in Chicago. But he's only worth $500,000 a year because he's black, because you couldn't pay him the right amount of money. They'll take the money because life's too short. But when you got Uncle Toms like Marchese pulling your fucking cards, you're going to continue to get arrested. When you continue to arrest Zumadog, when you continue to throw me out of meetings, when you continue to go out to my house and find me, you're going to keep fucking up. 5 claims. I'm up to $1,301,200 against you assholes. Pay up, bitches, or see me tomorrow.
All right, members, that concludes public comment. Madam Clerk, what is before us?
Council has motions for posted and referral.
Posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
All right, members, any announcements today? Any announcements? All right, seeing no announcements, everybody please, in chambers, please rise for adjourning motions. On my left, Mr. Bruscaino.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I ask colleagues that we adjourn in memory of Antonino Russo, who passed last Tuesday, born May 6, 1942, in Trapeto, Sicily. His life was filled with adventure, joy, and family, who immigrated to America in 1955. After coming here in San Pedro, spent the rest of his life, graduated from Mary Star of the Sea School, and married the love of his life, Catherine. His hobbies included traveling, gardening, cooking, not to mention owning a number of restaurants in Southern California. He is survived by Catherine, his 2 children, Gemma, Vito, Annette, his grandchildren, sisters, sister-in-laws, aunts, brother-in-laws, nieces, and nephews. Mass was offered last Saturday at 10:30 and was buried at Green Hills. May Antonino Russo rest in peace. Amazing, loving family. Our condolences to the entire Russo family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bruscaino. Anybody else on my left? Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to acknowledge the fact that we lost some additional rock and roll heroes within the last few days, most notably Glenn Frey, a singer, songwriter, guitarist, and founding member of the Eagles, who helped create a quintessential Los Angeles sound. He wrote and sang on an incredible array of hits and wonderful songs for the Eagles, including Heartache Tonight, Lying Eyes, Tequila Sunrise, and Take It Easy. And with fellow Eagles co-founder Don Henley, he wrote Hotel California and Desperado. He was born in Detroit. He played in early bands modeled after the group The Byrds. He came to L.A. and became part of the famous Laurel Canyon folk rock scene that included people like Joni Mitchell and Jackson Browne. And Don Henley and Glenn Frey met at the Troubadour nightclub in 1970, I believe, when they were both auditioning to be the backup band for Linda Ronstadt. They went on tour with her and then formed the country rock outfit, the Eagles. Don Henley credits Frey as the one who started it all. He learned how to do his songwriting partly from living above Jackson Browne, who lived in the basement of the building that they both were in. And he could hear exactly how he did his songwriting, and that contributed a lot to his own style. The Eagles were huge successes with 3 #1 studio albums in the mid to late 70s, 5 #1 singles, and their 1976 collection, their greatest hits, has been leapfrogging with Michael Jackson's Thriller as the best-selling album of all time, with both of them around 30 million copies. They broke up in 1980. They got back together in the 1990s. In between, Glenn Frey also became an actor, including a regular stint on Miami Vice. Don Henley said that the Eagles would only reunite when hell freezes over. They did get back together, and in fact, they had a very notable live album titled Hell Freezes Over. As a member of the Eagles, Frey won 6 Grammy Awards, 5 American Music Awards, and the Eagles were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998, and Glenn Frey into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2011. He was only 67 and passed away in New York due to complications from rheumatoid arthritis, acute ulcerative colitis, and pneumonia. He was married to Cindy Milliken since 1990, and they had 3 children. And he was an inspiration to people throughout the world and will be forever missed. I do also want to note that rock and roll, which lost David Bowie and Lemmy of Motorhead and Glenn Frey, also suffered 2 other losses this weekend. One with the passing of Dallas Taylor, who was the drummer on Crosby, Stills, Nash and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young early albums, and Dale Griffin, who was also a drummer and was co-founder of the group Mott the Hoople, which had great hits like All the Way from Memphis and All the Young Dudes. They had a reunion, but unfortunately he had suffered from Alzheimer's during the past decade, so he was unable to join it. So we mourn the loss of all these creative artists.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Any other adjourning motions? All right, seeing no more adjourning motions, the council is adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Have a great day.